Welcome to Mystics MMOs. I'm your host, Mystic Raven. All right, so I'm gonna be doing some gameplay. I'm still a little under the weather. It's starting to sound a little better, but it might crack in and out even. But today I want to discuss what my wife will scold me for. I love my wife, so do not get it twisted. I'm not here venting, but it's funny because um, I've mentioned multiple times that I'm an ass, and I don't think people have to understand what it's like to be in my household. Um, Up until my wife's new job, we were very she actually took a downgrade of what she's capable of doing. Where even my family, um, we're very professional in our lives. Um, we are very. I always tell people, like we're groomed in a certain way. We're brought up a certain way, um, and it's hard. It's not easy being groomed a certain fashion because you're expected to set the example at all times. Because typically my family are in positions of management or office, or even if they're doing blue collared, where there's something they set a precedence, and it's just because of our upbringing. And what that means is, literally playing by the rules, or even if you don't play by the rules, expect the repercussions. Don't back away from it. Don't deny it. Accept that failure, and own it, and you know, and try to learn. So those are the precedences that are set by the standard. It's not easy, man. It is not easy because, like, I tell people, you know, in a court of law, you're innocent till proven guilty. In my house, my children are guilty till proven innocent. And that is so if something was to happen, and I'm going to get into the story, if something was to happen until my child or one of my children can prove otherwise, they are at fault. They are. And everything has to be taken into consideration. That doesn't necessarily mean whatever, but it sets a mind it sets the mindset that you're not excused for your actions. Your actions are, you know, your actions are not excusable. The ends doesn't justify the means. You know, um, that's not the way we're brought up. There are consequences for every inconceivable position, and you need to be aware and accepting of that. And so we live by black and white. That's the way it is. There's no gray. There's no little bit of gray. If people think there's gray, the white side will always have, a pull. The black side will always have a pull, and it'll sort itself out between the two. So that's what it means. It's written as law. It's an affirmative, and you let the self. And people are like, well, there's gray areas. Well, the gray areas usually fall in resolution. So typically. But anyways, to make a long story short, I get a call Friday that my daughter had broken her Chromebook, broke, did something against the terms of agreement, for the Chromebook for her school. Now, around here, I don't know what it's like where you live or whatever. There are no more textbooks. Everything is done by computer in Ohio. Well, majority of it. Which, I'm not going to debate anything with anybody about, oh, well, this or that. You know, Everybody has, I hear you if you say, I believe in this. I believe you in me. I hear you. Um, but she, she, she literally dropped, she was texting and she dropped the F bomb in one of her texts. And of course, I get a call from the vice principal that this was had been done, and I'm like, and proceeds to tell me that he's given her an in-school suspension for this, and I totally agreed. At first, I was like, yes, 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 absolutely. If she broke the rules, lay down the law. I totally agreed. Without hesitation initially, because that's just who I am, right? My kids need to understand that there are rules, right? And there's no exception to these rules. No, I'll be getting into this further. So, anyways, I get the paper yesterday in the mail to sign, and of course, I was going to send it with my daughter. But then, of course, I'm a person. I decided to look. I was like, wait a minute. I look up the handbook, and the offenses are listed in such order that she was supposed to get a detention, not an in school suspension. So, offense number one, detention. Offense number two, two detentions. Offense, in school suspension. Fourth offense, 2 to 3 days of in school suspension for repeated offenders. And now this is per semester. And of course, I've already had a chat with the faculty at the high school, giving another incident earlier, which I totally upheld, but that they just didn't understand. At first, they were like, and I'm like, no, 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 you don't get it. I'm not against you. She's getting punished for this, um, in school. Yeah, do it. And they were like, what? And I'm like, no, 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 do it. And I'd already told the faculty, I was like, but you have to understand, you need to set the example at all times. You need to be the administrators of the law. You have to follow procedures. You have to follow the rule consecutively, consistently. There can be no weakness. And unfortunately, they screwed up. The vice principal screwed up. He didn't do his only goddamn job that the man is supposed to do, and that's administer the appropriate punishment for the appropriate crime. I don't know how you fucked that up, but he fucked it up because she didn't get the appropriate punishment. And I was like, no, no. And I told the principal, I'm like, no, 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 no. If she did the appropriate, if this was under these guidelines, I would totally 100% agree. I'm not sticking up for my daughter. She needs to be punished. And and of course they lifted it and whatever, and they're in trying to look into further investigation as far as the vice principal's disposition, let's say. Um, but so next thing you know, my wife gets mad at me because I can be condescending and belittling to even anybody because like I said, she's like, "Honey, we all know you're educated and we all know that she's like, but you really are." And she scolded me. She's like, did you ever think about I was like, I was being nice. I didn't go off. I didn't swear. I didn't do any of that. I was being she's like, it's not that your demeanor is, as far as you're not aggressive or showing aggressive tendencies. She's like, but you almost make everybody around you feel stupid. I'm like, well, I'm just asking. She's like, I'm not saying they were right, but you. Yeah, and I get scolded. I'm like, how do I get scolded? How do I? And I'm like, the one of my friends was there at my wife's work as I'm talking because I had to relay this message because he works with her and stuff, and he starts laughing. He's like, oh no, I'm like, see, I get in trouble. I get in trouble for the way I handle things and I don't know how not to do it in that way. So those are the type of things that I get scolded for and or reprimanded for by my wife. Like, and I'm like, how should I have handled it? Should I have let them? She's like, no. She's like, maybe I just maybe I should have went in and handled it. And I was like, you know, I was like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't. But it was funny. It was hilarious because I'm like, I don't see the problem here. Like, rules. She's like, I'm not arguing with you. It's no argument. I agree with you in that. And I was like, okay. And she's like, the appropriated crime, the punishment was not appropriate to the crime. And I'm like, okay, cool. And she's like, I agree that, they needed to take a look at this. And I agree that it needed to be raised. I'm like, cool, cool, cool. And she was like, but it's just the way you come across to people. I was like, how am I supposed to? I don't get it. I don't get it, but whatever. So it was funny. It was it was not funny, but you know what I'm saying. A lot of people don't understand like certain things, and I just wanted to give a little insight of how things are. When I tell people I'm an asshole, I totally am. Like I'm not making that up. I'm not lying about it. I'm an asshole. I was raised to be an asshole. My girls are raised to be bitches. That's what they are raised to be. You know, they are, but they're harder. What you have to understand too is that you're harder on yourself than anybody because you're always going to be looked at. Your what you do is always going to be put under a microscope, and the only thing that matters is results. Black and white, sticking to the rules and getting results by those rules that are set. That's it. And I know a lot of people would disagree, but I'm like, and I get that, and I do, but it's like, what do you want me to do? You want me to lie to you? I mean, that's not how I'm built. It's just not. It's just not how I'm built at all. And I think a lot of people don't understand what the sacrifices it takes to be like this or to have the like everybody always says it's easier to for these people to do this or do that job. And I'm like, do you understand the pressure it takes to be put in that position? Because unfortunately for the people who would like those positions, there's a lot of questions that are always going to be raised and asked, and you're always going to have, you know, there's only two options: resolution or why you failed. That was it. Why you succeeded or why you failed. You know, that's it. That's all there is. And I'm like, so imagine you fall short of your goals. If you meet goal, you're good. If you exceed it, it's exceptional. And I'm like, but if you fail, nobody wants to hear the excuses of or your reasoning of justification of failure. They want to hear what's going to do to resolve the issue of the failure. And I know that's a hard thing to come by. It's a hard it has its tolls, man. It has its tolls. You know, it has a very hefty toll, on person's relationship with other individuals because you that's just how it is. What I mean, take a look at a manager. Imagine you're, an employee somewhere and you think to yourself, boy, that manager doesn't really do much of anything. I do all the labor. Now, first thing, I always agree that anybody, typically, and there are exceptions depending on like large businesses. Not one person can do everything, but you should at least be able to, you know, do what you ask your staff to do. You should be able to conceptualize, be able to execute, and be able to do those things. I believe in that. I honestly do. I honestly believe if you're going to be in a role of leadership, you need to be able to do what you ask others to do, right? It sets a good precedence to, it has a good morality and value to the employees, right? I believe that. That's how I'm raised, anyways, to believe. And then what ends up happening though, you are always, but you see that manager and that manager needs to set examples. He needs to be held accountable. He needs to be, the person who, or everything is going to fall on their shoulder. Their staff is going to turn to who? Their manager. Their employers are going to turn to the manager. You know, um, everything goes back to these individuals, these men and women who are put under a lot of strain every day to make sure our business is running throughout the world. The world. All of these companies are relying on these men and women to, have strength enough where resolution is met, right? Where there is only absolute. But unfortunately, you have to understand for the people that carry these positions, they understand that the strain, there's no excuses. There's none. There's only black and white. And my wife was in management, and I feel like that's why my wife wanted to step down. Like my wife wanted a more simplistic lifestyle because after a while, right, it takes its toll. It does. It has its own, you know, pros and cons to it. It really does. My wife used to make a very, very good amount of money, and she holds a degree, and she did very well what she did. But after a certain amount of time and how her personal life, your personal life is sacrificed at all times. And that's another thing I don't think people understand either is the sacrifice that it takes to hold those positions, right? The amount it takes to, you know, what's expected in the long term sense. So, once again, my wife's always putting me in check. And the things I get scolded for is what she realizes what is and how. And so I feel like my wife relates because she's been in these scenarios more than what, you know, I think some people can say. And she's always trying to make me the better person. So I appreciate that. And I love her because, you know, she can be rude to me and I appreciate it. Like she can be blunt and and be direct and literally be like, you need to take a look at it from this. This is how it needs to be. Yes, I understand this, and yes, I understand that. But you have to do this because these are, and it's almost like you're, you're getting treated the way you expect to be treated. And when, like I said, that's part of this society, the structure of our society is when you take a certain position, there's a certain expectation of engagement and reciprocation. And it's unfortunate, like most people, think they can handle that type of pressure, but they fold. Like she was watching the old episodes of The Apprentice, and she was like, "Remember when Trump had The Apprentice and before all that?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, absolutely." She's like, "You see all of these people who thought they could handle what it was like to be in the business world." I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "But no matter how qualified an individual was, some couldn't cope with the responsibilities associated with the position when under that pressure, and especially in that show, it demonstrates, I think, that quality of you have a dream, you have expectations, but at to what point is are you capable of handling what it entails? Are can you muster enough strength to have a resolution? And that's a good question because I'll be honest with you, that there's at times that I find myself, I don't even know, I find myself had questioning things from a moral perspective. And what I honestly think a lot of people should be doing or focusing on is what makes you happy, because this is what inspires me about my wife. And when she scolds me, I or reprimands me or anything, I literally look at her with admiration because it's success, right? The definition of success is subjective. It's subjective. What is success? What is success? Did you raise your kids? Are they alive? Or did you do a good job raising your children? Were if you did a good job, you succeeded. You were successful. You know, I mean, who determines the definition of success? You do, is my point. So you determine the definition of success. You set that, you know, invisible bar, right? It's invisible. Nobody else can see it except you. And when my wife took the position in um, when she moved back down this way and everything, she took a new position that was completely mind-boggling for me. I understood at first, but then I was like, she had other opportunities presented, and she was more than she was more than she just was like, no, I'm not. I was like, okay. She's like, that is no longer the determining factor of my success. And because her success is built on her happiness. And I think that's a lesson to learn, right? That is a lesson to be learned. So when I talk about my wife scolding me, it's not like in a bad way. I feel like my wife, when she, scolds me, and when I mean scold, it's with a firm, direct resolution of intent. It is to get clear. And I'm not an individual. She feels like she has to explain things. And we're not built like that in my house. Another thing, we don't explain things. You need to figure. You have to be able to understand why at all times. You have to be able to relate. And she she's an inspiration to me because of these things. So I will say that once again. Oh my throat is just still whatever. But find your happiness, man. Find your happiness. Find what makes you set your success on your expectations. And if you're in a relationship, be open to whether or not to the opinions of your spouse, because who else's opinion matters if not your spouse, right? if if a boyfriend or girlfriend, however you are in life or whoever you're with in life, who else's opinion matters than the person you're with? Because if you can't take into consideration their opinion, if you can't take into consideration their, you know, what how they view things or accept things, then you have problems from the rip. You have problems from the get because you're conflicted already. Your positioning's conflicted, and you're never going to have a healthy relationship without consideration and compromise, right? Now, I'm no, you know, Dr. Phil or anybody like that to be giving out professional advice. These are just observations that, have gone for me and also against me because I'm also a stubborn individual as well. But I find it refreshing when I can take a step back and I can hear my wife scold me for something and I can appreciate her positioning. It doesn't always get through at the time that it should be clicking because a lot of times I feel like when you get in a debate with anybody, if anybody, doesn't even have to be your spouse or your significant other or whatever. When you get in a debate, sometimes you're not really listening to what the person's saying. You hear it, but it's not registering the way the person's intending you to conceive it. And it's not until after the fact sometimes that we take a step back, absorb everything that's transpired and assimilated it to give appreciation to the message that was delivered. Whether or not you completely concur with that person's, you know, positioning, you can, if once you been able to accept that person's reasoning, you can begin to compromise. And once you hear and you listen to them, then you can find a happy medium, right? And that's what it means, a happy medium, a place where you come together and put aside the differences for the benefit of as a whole. And that to me is just amazing. So I just wanted to give that out today. I just wanted to spew out some shit. I hope I didn't sound too arrogant or too sappy or anything in between. But to me, I find it breathtaking that when like people are like, "What, you opposed to a debate?" I'm like, "No, absolutely exact opposite." Like I'm all for a debate because I'll hear you out as long as you're hearing me out. You know, if it's one sided, we're never going to have a resolution. There's never going to be a way to resolve anybody's transgressions. So, oh my God, my throat. I'm telling you, it's been crazy. But food for thought. I don't know if it's wisdom or just whatever. I don't know. Like I said, but I always also teach my kids one thing: do never accept the first answer as the right answer. You know, and my kids are like, "What?" I'm like, "You ever go in class and somebody raises their hand because they think they know the answer?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "In 50-50 shots, right?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, 50-50s. That's what we get. You know, half the time somebody's going to know, and half the time they might have thought they knew and they didn't necessarily know the answer. And I'm like, but sometimes it's not the answer, it's how the question is presented that can lead to answer the right answer. So never accept the first answer as the right answer because it's how the question is, you know, you presented. That the answer presents itself. So, and these are the type of things I teach my children. I always tell my kids to just live by the rules, man. And if you get caught disobeying the rules, prepare for consequences and own it. Own it. Own it. I got so much drainage. Holy spliffity spliff. Oh, that reminds me. Cool. Reset. Oh my. No. While I'm waiting. I know. I kind of was thinking to myself, I wonder how many people are actually going to understand the meaning behind the title. I'm like, we'll see. Like to be like, is this a bad thing? Absolutely not. It's actually, it's a lot of love. It's a lot of feeling behind that because I'll tell you what, there's not a woman on this face of this planet who puts me through so much at some times, but I would go through so many hells just to retrieve her over and over again. And because she keeps me understanding of the scenario of the situation at hand. There's not a lot of people in this world who can do that. There's not a lot of people who can literally put it in a way that makes you appreciate, what's at stake, you know, because of, you know, you know, action reaction. You know, my wife gets me in that way. And there's just a lot of love. I mean, a lot. You really have to appreciate somebody because of that, in my mind. But already, hopefully, and I'll tell you what, men, if you're in a relationship with somebody, I don't care, and they push your buttons and you find it aggravating because you want to feel like that you're always right. I'll be honest with you. It's okay not to be. It's okay to be able to concede because the humility that you show to that person will benefit you in the long run. And to be able to concede to somebody that you love is never a loss. It's always a win. And ladies, if you're in a relationship and you're, you know, always questioning the motives behind the individual you're with, Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to come out of your shell and to be able to have a healthy relationship. Communication is key. It's a two-way street. Nobody's getting anywhere without it. Trust you and me. So my only advice is, if you can stay, if you can communicate and you can see the bigger picture and you can appreciate that person for what they bring in your world, then you can overcome the most, you know, crazy obstacles in the world that the world throws at you. Do not let those people go. Do not let those people go in your lives that mean so much. And just because of a difference of opinion, you know, an opinion should never be the reason why a relationship fails. If it's not if it's something petty. Sounds like my dog. What the fuck? Oh shit. Nice heels. Shit. Oh shit. Uh, Irish dude, I'm not getting notifications from your channel for some reason. It's doing that bug again. That sucks. How you doing today, brother? I'm sounding a little bit better. I still sound congested. I feel a lot better. I'm still draining though. But how are you doing today? Dude, I got to see Mars's video on that Conan Exile. It looks pretty badass. I was just talking about my experience this morning. It was funny. Like I literally walked into my wife's work. I'm like, good news. Um, they're gonna give her the appropriate position. My wife was like, interesting. And please tell me how this conversation goes. And I'm like, well, and then she's like, so pretty much you spoke to the individual in a condescending manner the entire time. I'm like, I totally disagree. She's like, I bet you do. Totally, you disagree. I'm like, what? Why am I the bad guy here? It was so funny. It was so hilarious. It wasn't hilarious. Like I knew I was getting scolded and reprimanded by my wife, but it was like, ah, shit. And I think a lot of people would think like, oh well, your wife should handle these type of things. You do not want to see my wife pissed. My wife gets like when she gets mad, she gets that whole like, oh, I'm gonna come unglued on you. I feel my wife's a lot more emotional than I am. They need to learn how to draw this back. I can't DPS if the. Oh my god. This tank's fucking up. I'm tired but good. Damn, your allergies seem brutal. They are. I have a really bad immune system. It's bad. My immune system is terrible. Like when I was a kid, I almost got taken out by chicken pox. I got a case of the chicken pox when I was little, and it literally almost killed the shit out of me. It was starting to go in my lungs, and that's when it gets scary. It was starting to go in my throat. Literally. They thought I was going to croak. Like I said, if anybody talks about, something, I catch it. Now, my wife and my one daughter, their immune systems are amazing. Like, crazy awesome. But me and my one daughter, no. We have allergies. We have very, very weak immune systems. Yeah, we get shit bad. I still remember like tons of little stupid shit. My brother had allergies growing up. My sister never did. My one sister never got anything. Like, nothing. She would never get sick or anything. My brother doesn't get sick very often, but his allergies, terrible. The man used to like have like a collection of handkerchiefs. I'm like, oh my, terrible. But yeah, if there's something, man, I always tell people, man, if there was a new plague that was out, like the bubonic plague decided to mutate and come back out, I'd probably be the first to get it and the first to fucking croak from that bitch. I'm like, I can't even afford to get, like, I get my vaccines. I'm really good. I'm always up on vaccines and stuff. I'm almost due for a pneumonia, a new one on my pneumonia because I have allergies and because I have certain things. I have to get like vaccines that sometimes most people wouldn't typically get, like until later. But like I've gotten pneumonia vaccines since I was like early 20s, so I wouldn't get pneumonia. Did you see Despotic's last two videos? Yeah. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. The snipe one had me scratching my head, but the lag one had me laughing, took us off. Yeah, dude, he had 60 frames the entire video on the lag one, too. He literally had in a consistent 60 FPS, and that was PC, man. That's what I keep telling people. I'm like, no, 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 that's not even. And dude, he wasn't even in a big fight. He had like, he was just trying to X, and then all of a sudden the shit starts going down, and you see his frames just going bouncing left and fucking right, like spikes out the ass. And I was like, oh shit, here we go. ESO at its finest. And what's crazy was, it was literally a pretty decent sized fight. I was thinking, you know, and he was still managing really well up until that last spike. And I was like, he's doing really fucking awesome, man. Like, Despotic was kicking shit, man. And then, like I said, all of a sudden you saw it coming and you're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, here it goes. Yeah, I was nuts. That's why I can't do it. I wanted to for the longest time, but I couldn't. The snipe one, though, I mean, it didn't surprise me. Neither video surprised me, but I will say that I found the lag one to be almost like, like this is what happens. This is why things go fucked. And I think even on one of his bar swaps, you could see there was a delay in his swap when he was backpedaling. You could see a delay in his swap, and I was like, oh fuck, I thought he was going to biff it there, and he didn't. He recovered, and I was like, okay, but you could see it, like it was there, it was present, like. I was just thinking, thank God he had, he was able to position himself. And, Despotic knows how to position himself. That's what makes Despotic a really good PvPer. You know, I'm not for whatever on certain things, but why I appreciate Despotic is when you take a look at how his positioning is set up, like he knows when to be aggressive and when he needs to reposition, and he does it so well. I like him for his commentaries though the best. Not saying his has anything wrong with the other content. It's just I like his insight. I hate when people say every game has problems. Yes, they do. But ESO, it's in a league by itself when it comes to problems. We have no doubt there, right? No doubt there, right? Like I said, it's one of my favorite games of all time. I'll say that. The snipe video didn't have any snipe in it though. He had a Templar bubble on him and he killed himself. Plus, it was a PC, and the PC culture is anything goes. They don't care about snipe typically. Typically, I think there's like I think that certain things are more acceptable in certain platforms than others. I'll agree with that because it's evident, right? But I honestly thought his like the delivery of what maybe he was saying in the video like didn't say, but that's why I was kind of like, okay. I mean, you know, but like his video on Sorks, like he got like when he did Sorks weren't overpowered. Like a lot of people was like, "Yo, D man, how can you say that's the case?" What other like everybody was like, "No, no, no, no," and it was crazy because a lot of people like are always pretty hard about the sorcerers being just having too much accessibility in their kit versus any other class in ESO, and where every other class in ESO has its strengths and its weaknesses, where Sork doesn't have weaknesses a lot. That's the problem with the sorcerer. You give it a high amount of damage. It's supposed to be a glass cannon, but it isn't glass. It has fortifications that are unparalleled, and that's the problem. It's like these are the issues. It's like, yeah, Sorks should be hitting hard if they're built that way, but they should also be taking like a shitload more damage. But that's not how it's built. It's just not. And no other job can say that. And then you have bugs. You have exploitable features in the game. Every game does have problems. I agree with you, man. I totally agree with you. Like, but the advocators that are saying, "Oh, so every game has bugs and Elder Scrolls is no different." Well, Elder Scrolls is different because Elder Scrolls has exploitable features that have never been addressed or can't be resolved due to its fundamental flaws. And that's the problem. It's like it's not an easy fix because of the way and it was conceptualized within, you know, its its building process. Like when a lot of people talk about, um, it's weird. Like let's take Linux for example. Okay, hardware is hardware, right? We can't debate hardware in a rig. We can always say, something's better performing than others based on parameters, but hardware essentially is hardware. It it it, it lends itself to what? It's the software. And when we talk about booting up or what's running the hardware, it's going to be what? Our OS, our operating system of choice, right? And our accessibility to additional software to run on our hardware is limited to specifications of what? The OS. And that is the same kind of conception that we have in classes in Elder Scrolls. Um, so, for example, I might prefer a Linux OS, right, over Windows for other reasons, but my accessibility is limited, right, due to my selection. So I don't have a lot more accessibilities. Now, does that prevent me from trying to adapt Linux to be able to do the same things that Windows can do? No, but when it comes to a source, the source it's structurally intact, right? But when it comes to its, you know, compiled data and how it reads or how it performs in that alternative, uh, you know, OS, then I'm restricted until I can resolve the coding problem. And that's the same thing with classes. It's like how the class initially is designed, right, in ESO, how things perform, it all comes back down to its base functionality or how it's built. You can fix it, you can adjust it, but if there's something fundamentally flawed within the class itself, then you have bigger problems. And some of the problems that you have are fundamentally, problematic in Elder Scrolls due to the conditions in which they were created initially. Hello there, watched an ESO Warden tank build video you made and wanted to check your channel out. So what game is this? This is Final Fantasy 14 VO. Welcome, by the way. He said it because Helium Balloon said the opposite. That's all. Plus, the last time I did a BG a week ago, there were 8 Sorks out of 12 players. Absolutely. If it wasn't overperforming, no way you'd see so many. And that BG was a nightmare of pets and endless fury spam. It was so stupid, pathetic. Actually, that players say Sork is weak. Yeah, I don't. They don't want the change. And we've discussed this. I've discussed this in multiple videos about, you know, the things that have to be, addressed. And I wish Helium would just let Despotic go. Why is he on Despotic's coattail? I feel like Helium's a good player. He does fine. Just get the fuck off Despotic's coattail, man. Despotic don't want drama. Despotic ain't about no drama. Like, get off of it, man. Stop clout chasing. That's what I feel like that is. And I'm not meaning any disrespect to Helium. I find Helium to be a very, very good PvPer. Sometimes his knowledge is questionable, because he, asserts a certain, you know, uh, like position that he understands the behind the scenes or the intricate details of each class, but that's not evident, to a player like me. But Despotic's not even trying to have it. So it's like, why are you chasing him? That BG was a nightmare of pets and endless all. Yeah. No, the sorcerer is not weak. It's not. It's just not. The sorcerer is no fucking joke in ESO. It is. It's got fundamental problems, man. It's got some fundamental problems. Like, first off, I don't know, and maybe it was Roble who did it. I don't know who initially did it. Whoever decided to do shield stack in an MMO without at least a global cooldown for, understanding how spillover system works was, in the lack of, was just completely like, how did you, how do you do that? How did you fuck that up? That's what I don't get. Like, I don't get that. Like, from a developer, I understand developers are new. They're people. We got to keep that in mind. Like, men and women who work in the industry are people, and some people are typically might be new. They might be very talented, even, right? They could be very talented individuals. But there are certain things when it comes to like, a check system should be always be, put in place, right? So you have checks and you have balances. That's the way, like, I've always been brought up. You always check your math, you check your, I took accounting for 4 years. That's all. And if that tells you anything, I took 4 years of accounting. So, you always, you know, check, double check, triple check, even before you sign off, get another check, then, send. It was like, okay, you know, you always make sure. Even if you think you got it right the first time, it's not good enough. And for them to then to not see a couple of the problems initially tells me there was definitely problems in alpha phase that should have been addressed before it even had gotten to beta. But like I said, I wasn't there. If I been there, I would have pointed that out initially. But I wasn't even interested in signing up for a scroll. Okay. In this case, it was opposite. Helium made a video first. Despotic chased Helium. Why? Don't get me wrong. I know Helium fan. Oh, Despotic needs to leave that alone. He's above. He was always above that. He don't need to be like that. Despotic is like he got his man, and you know Helium and Despotic need to just keep it separated. But it seemed like Despotic made the video just because Helium said otherwise. But I seen the video that Helium did stating based on Despotic's video. That's why I didn't get. It was weird, especially since Despotic spent the first few minutes talking about Helium. Yeah, fuck that, man. Fuck. I see. I don't miss that drama either. I don't miss that drama. Fuck all that drama. I don't need that shit. I don't miss that shit. Let me switch to Archer while I'm waiting for a queue. Um, no, I don't miss that shit. Fuck that. I can't find these little fucking buggers, man. I was trying to look for these little fuckers on my Archer yesterday. I was getting pissed. I'm supposed to be finding poachers, but I'm like, for some reason, I'm not finding these fucking poachers. And it says it's in here. Fuck if I know. Maybe it's up in this part? Maybe? No, it can't be. That makes no sense. Maybe. Could be. I doubt it. See, no. Once you go over, you're over here at Lark's. It's fucked up. Dude, I was feasting the fuck yesterday. But it seemed like Despotic made the video just because of Helium otherwise. It was weird, especially since spent the, oh yeah, we already said that. Just rereading it. Yeah, honestly, I think those two need to keep separated. I think, I mean, it looks, I mean, I hate to say it, like I said, Helium. I think Helium's a talented player. Sometimes he just opens his mouth in a way where it sounds just not so good. And it's like, Helium, this is where you start sounding stupid. Do yourself a favor, man. Back away. Oh, hell no. This is a death trap for sure. Where in the fuck is this thing, man? Fuck it. Oh no, I can't do that either. Fuck. Come on, come on, come on. I might have to look this one up. Because this one's giving me a pain in my ass. Fuck it. I'm skipping this one for now. Upper Path, South Shroud. East Shroud, the Bramble Patch. I know where that's at. Right there. What? Get out of here, you dumb fucker. No. Good. Drama is stupid. That's why I don't understand Despotic at times. He says he doesn't want it, but he won't let it go. He's losing subs over it. I do not like Helium. As soon as he was beating his chest, saying things like, I set the meta, I was done. Dude, he ain't setting shit. Helium is a good player. He doesn't understand some of the intricate elements that's behind the class configurations. He is a like he's able to build, I think, decent, but or play decent. I haven't seen anything from a configuration standpoint that's inspiring. You see what I'm saying? Like if you watch any of his stuff, it's like, dude, what are you building? How many builds are you coming out with? What's setting you up to be the player that you claim to be? That's what I'm trying to figure out with Helium. Like, I think he's a good player. I think Helium has some skill to him, but I think Helium is a lot more like I want him to be the hype that he says he is, if that makes sense. Like, I want him to be that. Like, I like cocky people. I appreciate a arrogant individual if they can literally show me why they're so arrogant. Like, I have an appreciation for that. But if he can't deliver on this, then I'm asking myself, what's your shit, dude? Don't like getting smashed. This tank was pretty cool for taking that shortcut. Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind a sense of arrogance. Yeah, see, we skipped and we didn't hit any switch. Yeah, or whatever. Just killed everything else. Back off, Jackson. Fucked up that part of my rotation really bad. Could have just... yeah. I'm in hard mode. I didn't know. Welcome back. Spectrum can't get their shit together. If I get kicked, I'm going to be so pissed. He's friends with Shady and learned the lesson of gaining subs with stupid drama, stream sniping, and generally being toxic. Go figure. Yep, I bit it. Because I couldn't see the fucking mechanic. I'd like to see the mechanic sometime this year. Okay, there's a little bot thing. Seems to be getting closer. So I imagine when it hits a certain point, you got to, get together. So, you avoid that explosion, obviously. This first time in this version. So I'm in the hard mode. That cooking sherry, though. I wish low-level dungeons wouldn't scale your abilities down to Final Fantasy. I mean, right, that's what Hop was saying. Let us have access to the abilities, but scale down the potency of the abilities. Yeah, I totally agree, dude. That would make it a lot. I mean, I have an appreciation for, keeping the difficulty level up there. I appreciate that, but definitely I wish that we would have all access to our full rotation once it's, it'd be nice. I mean, it's not a game breaker for me, but at the same time, it does suck. I didn't even know I was in hard mode. Well, it is random. I'm like, fuck. See, the thing about the hard modes is you think you know the dungeons, everything, but in trials, the mechanics, a couple mechanics change. In dungeons, the entire layout of the dungeon becomes different. like you're in the same building, but you're on a different part of that building. And that's where I like Final Fantasy over Elder Scrolls. Because Elder Scrolls hard mode, it's the same layout, right? It's just the difficulty. In Final Fantasy, it's like no. You're at that dungeon, but you went in a different way, so you're experiencing the other end of the dungeon, where you come into certain points of the dungeon and the terrain looks familiar, but it's completely different. Yo, man. I was about to say, can we get the bears off me? Look at that ninja go. Boom, 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 boom. Once again, I don't know these mechanics. It's the first time in this one for me. Take that, that's bad. Did I do it right or not? I guess not. God dang, man. Yes. I'll have to answer that in a little bit. Telemarketer. Boy, they start early. You used to get your rotation, then got it from you. It's jarring, yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's not game breaking, but it's annoying, right? It's not game breaking, but it is annoying as fuck. I totally agree with that. Just like you said, Hop had the same argument. Hop was like, why not just scale down the effectiveness of the abilities? I'm like, yeah, I agree. And I understand like newer players, if like higher players ended up going in, and it was like like you had more AOE's and stuff. I get that. Even if I think you could scale it down. Honestly, I honestly can see it being scaled down effectively. How much work and how much tediousness, it becomes the question. Like it's doable, but how much do they have to do it? That's the question. Why me? By lag on this last boss. Okay. See, this is the problem with my ISP. Let me reintegrate what happens. Remapping the realm. I told you guys first time here. Um, the problem with my ISP, if my ISP hiccups, I don't lag because my connection is solid. So I got really good speeds. So there's not a connection problem as much as a delay within the system, and it's costly for me, man. So what is this, like an arena? Oh, what? Are you fucking kidding me right now? No, 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 no. Yeah, bitch. I was for slick. Oh, you dick. You fucking bastard. Out of my way. Yes. What? Give me the main dude in here. Shut the fuck up. Who's the main dude? Oh, it was just the end. He still died. Tank was awesome. He's getting it. Dot. Coke. Just got 8 chunks of Coke. Holy shit. Who knows? Might be a part of a new battle system. That'd be awesome if they do it. If that is part of the new battle system. Yeah, totally, man. I got candle. Oh my god. Is that a new one? I already have it. Fuck. Alright. Now I gotta do my trial. I'm almost at level 70. I can do it. Yes, I can. I should have gotten it done Sunday last week. But, yeah, this weekend wasn't good. So I have 7 more weeks. So I'll be able to get at least my AST, my Dragoon, my White Mage, and my Bard, and probably my Paladin out of the way. And hopefully get my crafting up to 70. At least in my upper 60s. Those should be things that I should be able to get done before Shadowbringers launches. I would like to get my ninja in there too, but I don't think I'm going to. So, and my monk. I think my ninja, my monk, and my black mage are going to be the three that I'm still going to have to work on after Shadowbringers releases, which will be really hard for me because now I have, you know, it's not going to be hard when it comes to leveling Gunblade, but when it comes to leveling Dancer, I think that's going to be a problem for me. When we take a look at Dancer, and we'll be like, well, shit, I'm supposed to be leveling a Dancer. What the fuck am I going to do now? Who the fuck are you? Where the fuck are you at? And once the new battle system comes out, I am totally. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Derp. Speaking of fucking up a rotation. This will be my ding. I actually am looking forward to Bard. Alright, I guess I get one more. Well, that's gonna suck. I need to spawn. I can't get around these motherfuckers. I don't know if the black bat's aggro. No. They're passive. Boars are definitely hostile. Yes. Bingo. Yeah, the new battle system. Usually with the new battle system too, there's another thing. They'll usually, like from my understanding, so we're gonna get new skills between 70 to 80, right? with Shadowbringers, and we're getting a rehaul on the new battle system with TP. So I'm kind of wondering, like, what else is going to be like. I know we're not going to see the new skills until Shadowbringers. Are they going to manage? Are our skills getting remanaged? Because that's a lot of additional skills between. Like, let me explain. For example, this is a bad class to do that because he's not 70. Let me go to red. All right. So, for example, we have at 70, I get Verholy. Okay. Between 60 to 70, we get one, two, three, four, five, six new abilities associated between 10 levels, right? So, are we going to see us restructured the abilities to make them more like? Are we going to down some make that a part of the system? Use these abilities. I can use erase, but like a red mage, I don't. Welcome back. All right, I'm gonna end this stream because I'm gonna make a phone call. I would like to thank Kel and Vero. Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. If anybody has any questions, any comments, please post below. Once again, I'm Mystic Raven. This is Mystics MMOs, and as always, thank you guys. Have a nice day.